to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today.
President Tinubu declares state of emergency in Rivers State. Ibok Ete Ibas takes over administration. Nigeria moves to curb disaster ahead of rainy season, puts in place anticipatory action task force.
Climate change is for real, and there is an incestuous relationship between economy and ecology in the Sahelian zone.
Tax reform bills progress past third reading at the House of Representatives.
A bill for an act to repeal certain acts on taxation and consolidate the legal frameworks relating to taxation.
Good evening and nice to have you join us on the Network News. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Benny Adams has some business reports for us tonight. Benny, what's on the plates?
A whole lot of civil society, government, as well as the private sector come together to give us a new action plan that will propel the economy to the next level. Details in the bulletin.
Okay, and Bade Adeleye will bring us latest in the world of sports. Bade.
Well, the Super Eagles of Nigeria had their first training session under new coach Eric Chelle today ahead of Friday's qualifier against Rwanda.
Thank you, Buddy. And don't forget to follow this newscast live on our website, nc.ng/live, NC News Now on X, and other social handles displayed on the screen. President Bola Tinubu has declared a state of emergency in Rivers State due to the protracted political crisis and failure of the state's leadership to take necessary constitutional steps to address the situation. President Tinubu, who announced this decision in a national broadcast, stated that the measure was in accordance with Section 305 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which empowers the president to intervene in cases where governance is threatened.
The latest security report made available to me show that between yesterday and today, there have been disturbing incidents of vandalization of pipelines by some militants without governor taking any action to curtail them. I have, of course, given stand order to the security agencies to ensure safety of lives of good people of Rivers State and the oil pipelines. With all this and many more, no good and responsible president will stand by and allow the grave situation to continue without taking remedial steps. It has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do. By
to manage the
of Rivers State, Mr. Similai Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly State are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months.
Manage the affairs of the state during this period. President Tinubu has appointed former Chief of Naval Staff, retired Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, as administrator of Rivers State.
The administrator will not make any new laws. He will, however, be free to formulate regulations and may be found necessary to do his job, but such regulations will need to be considered and approved by the Federal Executive Council and promoted by the President for the state. This declaration has been published in the Federal Gazette, a copy of which has been forwarded to the National Assembly in accordance with the Constitution.
Interventions he made to reconcile the warring parties emphasized that this action was taken in the interest of the people of Rivers State, ensuring stability and restoring effective governance.
It is my fervent hope that this inevitable intervention will help to restore peace and order in Rivers State by awakening all the contenders to the constitutional imperatives, binding on all political players in the Rivers State in particular and Nigeria as a whole.
The executive and legislative arms of government have been affected by the emergency measures. The president clarified that the judicial arm of Rivers State remains intact. Now, the streets of Port Harcourt tonight remained calm amidst mixed reactions over the state of emergency declared in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu. Kingsley Amajiri went to the streets to seek the views of some residents.
Of course, we are in the streets of Port Harcourt to get responses from residents after the president declared a state of emergency in Rivers State over the political crisis that have rocked the state. We have a couple of residents who are out here in the streets of Port Harcourt who want to get their reactions to this latest incident, their thought about the cause for peace in Rivers State.
The people of Rivers State are not really happy with what is happening to Rivers State right now.
We'll do business. I don't know how it's going to impact us, but we're still watching out and see how it will look like.
I actually agree with what he did because I felt he's doing the right thing.
Notwithstanding the divergent opinion expressed by some residents over the news of this declaration of state of emergency, some believe that within the period of these 6 months, the political gladiators in Rivers State should be able to come to terms and also harmonize their differences and work collectively for the interests of Rivers State. I am Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Meanwhile, former Special Advisor on National Assembly to former President Muhammadu Buhari, Senator Ita Enang, has commended President Bola Tinubu for taking a bold step in addressing the political crisis in Rivers State. He spoke moments after the declaration of a state of emergency in the state. Take a listen.
No good and responsible president, in the words of President Tinubu, will sit and watch this happen for too long. And I'm sure, and I want to say that His Excellency Mr. President had watched it happen long enough, not too long. And he had given the parties by themselves opportunity to reconcile. He had given the leaders opportunity to reconcile them. He had taken steps himself, and the parties never realized that a day like this will come. So I appreciate what His Excellency Mr. President has done. I support it, and all reasonable men should support it.
Ita Enang there. Now, to speak further on the declaration is a legal practitioner, James Igwe, SAN. Thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very kindly, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Now, relying on Section 305, subsection 5 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State for 6 months. What are the implications of this constitutional decision?
Yeah, thank you very kindly once again. And as the President stated, it was an inevitable intervention aimed at awakening all the gladiators in the crisis to their constitutional responsibilities. That inevitable intervention shows a president that understands the primary purpose of government spelled out in Section 14, subsection 1B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, as being the security of lives of the people and welfare of the people as a primary responsibility of government. And if you look at Section 305 of the Constitution, no doubt, Mr. President has the constitutional powers to make a proclamation of a state of emergency in Nigeria or in any part of Nigeria. And if you look at also Section 3052, after this proclamation, the next step will be to transmit a copy of the publication to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of the House to enable the National Assembly look at it and then pass it by 2/3 majority. And as a matter of fact, if you listen to the President's declaration, he is right, because under Section 304, 305 subsection 4 of the Constitution, the governor of Rivers State, supported by 2/3 majority of the House, can also make a request to the president to make this proclamation. And having watched the developments in that state the past almost 2 years, without all the contenders being able to resolve this crisis, and the legislative arm of government of Rivers State not being in a position at the moment to work with the governor of Rivers State, you can say that there is no government in Rivers State. You cannot imagine a president who knows his constitutional responsibility, cross his fingers, and allow the situation to deteriorate. And remember, the president receives security reports on this nation on a daily basis. So he has a great measure of information that we do not have.
Okay. All right.
In any event,
Essia, let me comment there. Talking about proclamation, the governor, deputy governor, and all members of the Rivers State House of Assembly have been suspended. So let's talk about the process of declaration of the state of emergency in line with the section of the Constitution being adopted.
Yes. First of all, under section 3055, if the governor fails to make a request within a reasonable time, then the president, as in the instant case, will exercise his constitutional powers under section 305 to make a proclamation of a state of emergency in Nigeria or in any part of Nigeria. And then the Constitution in section 3053 lists out certain circumstances that can lead to that situation. If Nigeria is in a state of war, for example, the president can make that proclamation.
Okay.
And if any part of the country is endangered in any way, if there's a threat to the lives of the people or to the property in that state, the other day we heard about some vandalization or a blowout of some oil pipelines. No president can cross his fingers and allow those kind of things to happen. The gladiators should have seen the handwriting in the wall. There is a need to ensure at all times, particularly our political leaders must have the responsibility of holding the welfare of the people at all times. It shouldn't be about their personal interest. It should not be about a fight between one man and the other. They must always think about the people, and if they have thought about the people, they would have seen ahead of time that it will lead to an inevitable breakdown of law and order, such as we are witnessing at the moment.
Okay, quickly, how can we guard against such in the future, a reoccurrence in the future? In few words.
Maintain your responsibilities under the Constitution. The Constitution has divided powers between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So everybody has responsibility under the Constitution. Bear in your hearts the protection of the ordinary people. The same section 14 of the Constitution says sovereignty belongs to the people. And you can only give the people their sovereignty by being able to maintain peace and order. Give them the primary essence of governance. Let the people feel that they have a government they can trust, whether it's at the local government level, at the state level, or at the federal level. And if you remember a development in this nation where the Supreme Court at some point made a pronouncement on the autonomy of the local government, you can also see a federal government that is aiming at ensuring that the welfare of the people are protected. All political leaders at all times must bear in their heart the interests of the people. If you have the interests of the people at heart, this kind of crisis cannot emerge, particularly in a democratic setting such as our country.
James Igwe, SAN, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the news. Thank you very much for your thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. President Bola Tinubu has appointed former Chief of the Naval Staff Vice Admiral Ibok Eta Iba's sole administrator, Rivers State. Vice Admiral Iba's appointment follows a declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers by the President. The 64-year-old from Cross River State served as 22nd Chief of the Naval Staff from July 2015 until his retirement in January 2021 and was appointed Nigeria's ambassador to Ghana. The newly appointed sole administrator of River State is a member 26th regular course Nigerian Defense Academy, NDA. To other news, the federal government has moved Nigeria's flood response from reactive disaster relief to proactive preparedness with the launch of the Anticipatory Action Task Force on Flood. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the hint during a meeting of the task force at the presidential villa in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
The human and economic toll of floods in Nigeria has become unbearable, and this meeting is to act now to protect lives and livelihoods by leveraging science, technology, and collaboration. This initiative aligns with global frameworks such as the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, which emphasizes proactive disaster preparedness to mitigate the impact of natural disasters and protect vulnerable communities.
Climate change is for real, and there is an incestuous relationship between economy and ecology in the Sahelian zone. But the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. This is the first time in the history of this nation that efforts are made for anticipatory action, for us to pool our resources and see how we can address our challenges proactively instead of reactively.
Prevention is always cheaper than response, and investing in early actions will save billions in future losses. And stakeholders at this meeting made commitment to strengthen coordination among agencies, engage local communities, and ensure that preparedness efforts are backed by the real-time data.
And so we are working on climate resilient crops, trainings, and several other activities that will be taken by government to ensure that we avoid anything that will even cause the flooding in the first place.
We even discussed the issues of the state emergency management agencies here and how we're going to keep insisting that they become active and alive to their responsibilities as well.
In this, I think we have already mobilized funding through the Central Emergency Fund for Nigeria. There is already an allocation which is pending for what action plan we will have.
They commended the initiative, explaining that a critical part of humanitarian response is anticipatory action that are saving lives and reducing vulnerability more efficiently. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Away from flood mitigation, Vice President Kashim Shettima says President Tinubu has proved his mettle as a courageous and decisive leader through bold and hard policies. The Vice President stated this when he received a delegation from the Harvard Kennedy School alumni on a Nigeria-Ghana trek at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that Vice President Kashim Shettima said measures have been put in place to address challenges caused by subsidy. The Vice President urged the delegation to ignore negative narratives about Nigeria and focus on development strides of the government. Leader of the group, Shefi Kolade, explained that a lot of the Harvard students have taken courses on Africa, African policies and history, adding that the visit to the Vice President of Nigeria would give them first-hand information about programs and policies of government and the path of progress the country is going, given the current trends in the West and how Nigeria is responding to the changing relationship dynamics in the world. You're watching the Network News on NTA. The news continues shortly after the break. To stay with us. This is the Network News on NTA. Senate has set up and had a committee to investigate alleged annexation of Nigerian maritime territories and mangrove islands by Cameroon. The annexed territories comprise fishing routes and islands that host approximately more than 2,500 oil wells. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The mangrove islands and waters situated at the geographical location called Efiat in the local government area of Akwa Ibom State, marking the terminal end of the Gulf of Guinea down seaward to the Atlantic Ocean coast. It is currently under the administrative control of the Republic of Cameroon illegally.
While debating the motion from Senator Ania Kanbasi, lawmakers said the annexation of Nigerian territories by neighboring Cameroon is contrary to the judgments of the International Court of Justice, Anglo and German treaties, and the Nigerian Constitution.
We all remember the Bakassi Peninsula ICJ judgment, which came up sometime in 2002. Up till now, the Cameroon gendarmes are still molesting our people.
The indigenous have been running helter-skelter so many times to the National Assembly. Nobody has done anything to even attempt to show this peninsula and its indigenes that they are Nigerians.
And when you violate this, a lot of issues even beyond oil comes up.
It is not ambiguous that the mangrove island is part of Nigeria. Therefore, I believe that what we should be doing is how to enforce the judgment.
The relevant agencies of government and the Ministry of Justice should move into action to find out the truth about this matter.
The leadership will still engage Mr. President whether or not it's so authorized. But Mr. President should also take the diplomatic route of engaging with his counterparts in Cameroon with a view to saving our maritime territories and our oil wells.
Senate has passed for second reading a bill that mandates social media platforms and bloggers to establish physical and verifiable offices in Nigeria.
Even those companies that used to have offices in Nigeria have closed the offices, such as Google and Microsoft. This has provided room for us to evade so many taxes.
The absence of physical offices for these social media giants in Nigeria presents major challenges.
Also passed at second reading is the bill for the regulation and safety of articulated vehicles, sponsored by Senator Babangida Hussaini.
Series of mishaps resulting in petroleum tanker explosion in Jigawa, Lagos, Dakwa in Niger State, and other parts of the country. The persistent carnage on our roads, occasioned by haulage of petroleum products, has made it imperative for a legislation of this nature to address and forestall future occurrences.
Meanwhile, President Tinubu has forwarded a list of 5 appointees as resident electoral commissioners of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to the Senate for confirmation. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
In a move to modernize Nigeria's tax system, the House of Representatives has passed the 4 tax reform bills at Tuesday's plenary. The bills aim to transform tax administration, which set for a major overhaul in the country. National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ikmen reports.
More than 5 months after their introduction by the executive, the 4 tax reform bills reached the finish line of third reading in the House of Representatives.
Bill for an act to repeal certain acts on taxation and consolidate the legal frameworks relating to taxation and enact the Nigeria Tax Act to provide for taxation of income, transactions and instruments and for related matters. Third reading.
All the 4 bills are read the third time and passed.
The bills, with major inputs from Nigerians, seek to repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Service Establishment Act 2007 and establish the Nigeria Revenue Service, the Joint Revenue Board, and the Tax Appeal Tribunal for speedy resolution of tax disputes. They will also repeal a long list of archaic tax laws towards more efficient tax administration in Nigeria. This will be after expected passage of the bills in the Senate, preparatory to submission for presidential assent. 5 other bills passed at Tuesday's plenary, including Bill for an Act to amend the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion, NOTAP Act. Several bills also scaled second reading.
Bill for an Act to amend the Federal Medical Center Act and provide for the establishment of Federal Medical Center Kumo Gombe State.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Entrepreneur and Business Management in Kogi State and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters.
Adopting a motion of urgent public importance, the House requested the Standard Organization of Nigeria to rid the country of substandard building materials to forestall cases of building collapse.
The House mandates the House Committees on Industry and Trade to investigate the allegation regarding Standard Organization of Nigeria's reversal of its decision to shut down 18 companies that were found wanting in the production and distribution of substandard building materials.
From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikmen, NTA News.
It's time to talk business, and our busy businessman is set. Benny?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now, Nigeria's Open Government Partnership Team is set to consolidate on efforts towards improving good governance and economic development. This is as civil society, private sector, and government converge on Abuja for 3 days to review National Action Plan 3 and draft a new plan that meets the needs and aspirations of Nigerians. The new plan is expected to speak to transparency, accountability, and to improve citizens' participation in the governance process. It is also expected to surpass previous achievements of beneficial ownership transparency, the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, fiscal and extractive sector transparency, among others.
We sit together to assist government to achieve its mandate. Our priority is government focus. And this time around, I believe we'll be looking at the renewed hope agenda of the present administration. We are not working at cross purposes with government. We are not reinventing the wheel. Instead, we're looking at the focus of government. What does government seek to achieve? And then we come together.
As a committee, our work is just to put together what Nigerians have shared. Of course, we'll be aligning this this draft SNAP, with the development plan for the country. We'll be aligning it with the sustainable development goals, as well as the priorities for this current administration.
And now, talking standards, stakeholders in industry say there is no more room for quackery in the execution of projects in Nigeria. This is as the Chartered Institute of Project Managers, rising from a closed-door meeting with the Minister of Industry, Senator John Eno, say enforcement of regulations begin 1st of April.
If you are not licensed, the Act specifically says that you are in breach of the law. Now, this enforcement is going to take different shapes. Not only are we going to continue the sensitization, which we've been doing, we are going to take that sensitization now to local businesses, to local companies, and to the different MDAs, informing them of this, all the way, from the Secretary of Government of the Federation to the Head of Service, to all the ministries, MDAs within Nigeria, private sector enforcement. Everything begins on the 1st of April. We are keen to do that, and we're ready to push.
Well, talking business now, despite the moderation in inflation, Nigeria's stock market maintained its bearish momentum as the all-share index fell 40 basis points, closing at 105,000 points on Tuesday from 105,799.1 basis points. And looking at South Africa appreciated by 0.52%. It closed at 81,637.19 basis points. And Tunisia Tune Index, it was also a good day for the Tunisian stock as it appreciated by 0.37% to close at 10,882.20 basis points. Well, this is it on business. Elizabeth?
Thank you so much, Benny. We're not done with money matters. More Nigerians can now access credit facilities to own their own cars as Nigeria Consumer Credit Corporation Credit Corps is in strategic partnership with AutoCheck and other allies to drive this initiative. This opportunity knocks on your door for just 2% interest rates. Ayodeji Makinde tells us more.
Owning these cars could be a tall dream for low and medium income earners. However, those dreams are now turning to realities as Credit Corps rolls out plans to address transport poverty through best price car loans and access to consumer enterprise. Managing Director Chief Executive Officer Uzoma Wagba maintains that with over 11,000 brand new cars imported to the country annually, Credit Corps and AutoCheck have created these pathways for ownership of vehicles with a 2% interest rate.
We would again have the highly crashed interest rates for people to go and buy locally assembled vehicles so that we can support our local industries to grow. But if you want to buy a regular pre-owned vehicle that is not assembled in Nigeria, you can still get credit to buy it.
We have brought financial partners, banking partners, credit core, such that when a customer walks in, they get an instant offer. So it is not going to be waiting for a while. It's seamless, it's efficient, and you can get your vehicle. So it's very affordable.
9 subscribers were handed keys to their vehicles after fulfilling requirements by Credit Corps and Auto Check to access car loans.
I know there are a lot of people out there like me that will want to do this, so they should give it a try.
With this, it creates an easy venture for you to get a car.
As these first set of subscribers get their wheels on the highways, Nigeria Consumer Credit Corporation is here to serve by accelerating access to credit to 50% of all working Nigerians by 2030. In Abuja, Ayodeji, Makinde, NTA News.
To electrification, federal government is committed to providing solar energy panels to 25 communities in each state of the federation before the first tenure of this present administration in the country. The managing director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Abba Abubakar Aliu, made this known during the inauguration of 510 kilowatt solar mini-grid project at Omifunfun in Ile in Ife, South Local Government of Osun State. Rotimi Akamo has details of the events.
Inaugurating the 510 kilowatt solar mini grid project that will serve 5 communities in Ife South Local Government of Osun State, the state governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, represented by the Commissioner for Energy, commended the federal government for the provisions of solar energy power for the community.
We want the community to be, very vigilant. This project is not a project that can be played with.
Rural Electrification Agency, and it stands to energize at least 3,000 communities in phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3.
Residents of the town described the provisions of solar energy power to their community as a big relief.
The job is well done. It's satisfactorily okay.
Like me already, I won't park from here before because no light, nothing like that. But now, I thank God where we see light, solar.
The 510 kilowatt solar hybrid project will serve Omifunfun, Mifunrade, Elegbejoda, Ayetoro in Ife South Local Government of Osun State. From Omifunfun in Ife South Local Government of Osun State, Rotimi Akama, NTA News.
Talking health, Gombe State is set to join other states in the country to formally launch the measles rubella vaccine in October 2025. This is as the governor's wife holds sensitization meeting with spouses of local government chairmen and other key relevant stakeholders. Zara Umar Adamu reports.
Investiture of the ambassador of measles and rubella vaccine on the wife of the governor and spouses of local government chairmen is clear commitment towards the fight against measles rubella. The sensitization campaign is part of a broader effort to improve immunization coverage and reduce the incidence of vaccine-preventable diseases.
You have a critical role to play in mobilizing women, caregivers, and traditional leaders to support this life-saving initiative.
The necessary logistics, training, and coaching infrastructure have been put in place to ensure the success of this program.
The EMIA is personally committed to supporting vaccination efforts and promoting public health in our dear state, Gombe.
Combined measles rubella vaccine will be introduced into the national routine immunization schedule to complement the measles vaccine administered.
Away from health, the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs has reacted to news circulating online that the Sultan of Sokoto is trying to Islamize the country. A statement by the Council's Deputy National Legal Advisor says the statement was quoted out of context for mischievous reasons and urged the public to disregard it. It also advised Nigerians to always verify any information before circulating it, as the Sultan leads the Muslim community comprising all ethnic groups in Nigeria. Time to take another break. The news continues shortly. Israel vows to continue fighting in Gaza until all hostages are returned as it unleashes its most intense strikes since a ceasefire, with the health ministry in the Hamas-run territory reporting more than 400 persons killed. Frama Panyi brings us details.
Hamas accused Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of deciding to resume war after an impasse in truce negotiations and warned that the return to fighting could be a death sentence for hostages still alive in Gaza. The strikes were by far the biggest and deadliest since a truce took effect in January. However, Hamas has not responded to the strike so far. The White House said Israel consulted U.S. President Donald Trump's administration before launching the wave of strikes, which the health ministry in Gaza said killed mostly remaining children. Brokered by Qatar, Egypt, and the United States, the initial phase of the ceasefire took effect on January 19, largely halting more than 15 months of fighting in Gaza, triggered by Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. Meanwhile, UN Chief Antonio Guterres was shocked by the renewed strikes, a spokeswoman said, while UN Rights Chief Volker Turk said he was horrified.
Secretary General is shocked by the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, in which a meaningful number of civilians have been killed. He strongly appeals for the ceasefire to be respected, for unimpeded humanitarian assistance to be reestablished, and for the remaining hostages to be released unconditionally.
Both Russia and China warned against an escalation, while Egypt and Turkey condemned the violence. Frama Panyi, NTA News.
And for the latest in the world of sports, let's join our sportsman, Badi Adeleye.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Let's begin from Kigali. Ahead of Friday's Crunch 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier, the Super Eagles of Nigeria held their first training session earlier this evening in what was Coach Eric Chele's first with the team. All of the invited players participated, with the exemption of Alassane Yusuf, who is yet to arrive the team's camp, as the 2013 African champions target 3 points against the hosts. The Super Eagles will take on Rwanda in Kigali on Friday before playing Zimbabwe at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo on March the 25th. Nigeria remain winless after 4 games in the World Cup qualifiers. The Eagles have lost 1 and drawn 3 and are 5th in Group C. Back home, the Nigeria Football Federation has reaffirmed its commitment towards providing world-class infrastructure and facilities that will make the national teams more competitive and result-oriented. This follows the groundbreaking ceremony of a state-of-the-art hostel, accommodations and training pitches for Nigerian national teams at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. Austin Edemodo tells us more.
This ground zero will transform to this hostel accommodation structure, which will house gymnasium, medical facilities, and training pitches for the Nigerian national teams, as conceived by the Nigerian Football Federation. The groundbreaking ceremony of the project was performed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas.
It will bring a lot of savings in terms of expenditure. It will bring a lot of revenue at the same time to the sector, and it will enhance efficiency and competitiveness.
This country has put FIFA in its roadmap. It has been able to establish the leadership in the African continent.
Other critical stakeholders from the National Sports Commission, Nigerian Football Federation, and FIFA share their vision behind the project.
This is the first time we have a clear investment plan for sports in this country. We have a lot of investment and provision by the president to provide infrastructure. We have support budget to provide this stadium to make it what it is and stuff like that.
Certainly in Nigeria, with this technical center, we will provide great talent. President Gusso, it's an honor for me to be here, an honor for FIFA to be here by the side of the Nigerian Football Federation.
I will just tell you the success of what you see going on in the Federation is about the prudent management of the little resources we have.
This is what we should have been doing 10, 15 years ago. So I'm happy we have it. We are at that stage, and Nigeria football will be the best for it.
The Legacy Project is the stepping stone for one-stop sports city at the National Stadium, Abuja. I am Austin Edemodo, NTA News.
Many thanks, Austin. And that does it on sports. Let's return to Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Bade, for the updates. The death has been announced of Madam Elizabeth Agbo Adede, aged 69. A night of tribute will hold on Wednesday, March 19, 2025 at Event 45, 6 Douglas Avenue off Atekong Drive, State House in Calabar by 6 p.m. A welfare mass will take place on Thursday, March 20, 2025 at Christ the King Church, 4 Barrack Lane, Akimkwa Town, Calabar at 8 a.m. A valedictory session will hold at the Temporary Chambers, State of Chiefs Chambers, State Executive Council on Friday, March 2025 by 11 a.m. A Vigil Mass will hold at St. Luke Catholic Church, Akoshi, Bendi, Oban Liko, Local Government Area, Cross River State on Saturday, March 2025 by 5 p.m. Requiem Mass will also hold at St. Luke Catholic Church, Akoshi, Bendi, Oban Liko, Local Government, Cross River State at 10 a.m. Interment follows immediately. She is survived by her family and close friends. Now let's take a quick look at the weather picture for tomorrow, Wednesday.
Hello and welcome to the weather forecast for Wednesday. The morning hours brings likelihood of thunderstorms along the coastal region of the country, particularly affecting parts of Ondo, Edo, Delta and Bayelsa states. As the day progresses, the storm activity shifts inland, extending towards the southern region of the country, even reaching as far as the north central, talking about parts of Kwara, Kogi, the FCT, and Benue states. So if you're in this region, expect some showers and thunderstorms later during the day. Meanwhile, up north, dew point temperatures are dropping, so we expect clearer skies with lots of sunshine. Warm temperatures are still expected across the country. That's our bit from here. I am Theodorite. Thank you for watching.
And that's the weather outlook. And on that note, we end the news tonight. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Stay safe.